Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Sporting Chance podcast. While you're here, check out the sportingchancepod.com for all the flyest merch and a complete catalog of the episodes. And check out Clover Creek Canine on Facebook for performance canines bred by friend of the show, Sean O'Neill. Do yourself a favor, get a lurcher, get a special, get a truck terrier, whatever it is, you can't go wrong. And while we're at it, this podcast is brought to you by A Journey with Red Tails. Order the book by author Bob Glass at ajourneywithredtails.com. And for all of your tightest falconry equipment, check out midnightfalconry.com. And let's not forget mountainstatefalconrysupply.com for your premier East Coast falconry supply store. Let's not forget your boy, my boy, everyone's boy, Seth Roy, NorthMountainGoshawks.com for your parent-reared goshawk hunting partner for the 2025 hunting season. All right, everybody, welcome to the Sporting Chance podcast. I'm Aaron Kincaid.
And I'm Casey Everett.
And today we are joined by Jake Thomas. Thanks for coming on, Jake.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Remind me where you're from.
I'm from Southeast Kansas.
I'm talking about.
I like Kansas. I flirt with moving out there all the time.
I wouldn't recommend it, dude. We're all out of rabbits, all out of pheasants. All out.
Yeah.
Dude,
I hear Colorado's great this time of year.
I've seen a lot of rabbits in Kansas.
Yeah.
I think Jake.
It can be good. That's for sure.
I think Jake saw a couple today, huh?
Yeah. First flight out of the gate, my bird flew one down. My wife actually came with me, and I flushed it, and she actually got to see the whole thing. Man, my dog coursed it, got it out of a brush pile. Or not a brush pile, but a thicket, and pushed it out to where it had to go across the road. And my bird he rolled down and just smoked it, dude. It was great. It was a really good flight. From what I got to see, it was good, but she got to see the whole thing. So
that's nice, man. That's nice that your wife goes and joins you. That's got to be fun.
Yeah, especially today. I didn't think she was gonna because it is freaking cold, man. We're getting a nasty cold snap right now. This next week's gonna be really rough.
What's it at like right now? Like what do you mean?
Our high, we're supposed to get like 6 to 9 inches of snow here. Is what they got us posted for in my area, and then it's going to be a lot of 20, 25 mile an hour winds. Like the highs are 7 or 8 or 9 degrees, the lows are in the negatives. So it'd be pretty tough on our quail that are I was really hoping that last cold snap was our last one. About like always. It's still February, so there's always going to be another one, but. We had a lot of carryover birds that I were really hoping would make it, to make a lot of new nests. But hopefully this cold snap didn't treat them too bad.
What do they? Do you know what they do when there's snow like that? They stay under the snow, or what do they do?
No. So quail, they'll find a lot of thermal cover. So that's that's about the only good thing about. We have a lot of eastern red cedars that are non-native. But that is one thing they're really good for is thermal cover for these birds. Especially, if you get a wet, heavy snow, even if or we get a lot of ice too. We had a pretty good ice storm here, a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. And, it kind of just creates a good thermal barrier where there's bare ground underneath. And then like when you find quail up under that stuff, you just see where they've scratched a ton underneath it. And we're picking seeds and stuff like that. And, so there's a lot of good and bad that comes with those, but no, that's a lot of what they do. I've found quail under old cars, tractors, bush hogs, anything like that when it gets real nasty,
Is it just Bob White where you're at?
Yeah, we just have Bob Whites here. Or in my
I'm amazed by the wild Bob White out there in Kansas.
Yeah, and everybody, there's a lot of guys that simp over, the other quail and the other, species of quail and stuff like that. Bob White will always be my favorite just because of the diversity and terrain they can live in. when I was hunting Osceola turkeys in South Florida, we seen wild bobwhites in palmettos and a swamp. And then I've hunted them in sand dunes in New Mexico. I've hunted them on the Great Plains. They're just so diverse, and I think they're the coolest, man.
Yeah, they are cool. I mean, listen, at least you got quail. I got nothing.
That's right. Yeah.
I got nothing here. I mean, I think they're here. Like if you look at the map, they're here, but like, come on. You're not
Right.
50
you're not
years
gonna
ago,
move 5
you
coveys
found
and anything like that.
No, nothing like that. No.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, I mean,
it's so sad to see too.
what?
Loss of quail because of loss of habitat.
Yeah.
When you go out to the desert, you just see quail everywhere, like in neighborhoods, living in people's yards, hanging out their bird feeders. You will not see bobwhite doing that.
Oh, yeah, you will. No, not really. The only time I've ever really seen stuff like that is when we do have really heavy snow out like far western Kansas, and the only trees are people's yards, And dude, drive by a homestead or somebody's house, and it looks like a friggin' zoo out there,
Jeez.
And, yeah.
So you can see wild bobwhite in people's yards out there.
Oh yeah. It's also, it's one of those things when you're out all the time and where there's a lot, maybe not a lot of quail, but there's quail. Yeah. I mean, I've had them in my yard here, so it's not very common.
Cool.
I haven't caught any on my property yet, but I've came really close actually. So
yeah, you just do like typical falconer thing where you like look out your window and you see some kind of quarry that you would like to go after, and you just sneak outside in your underwear and like no transmitter.
With my fist.
Yeah,
no transmitter, no nothing.
No nothing. You like you got slippers on and you're sneaking up on stuff. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Classic.
Hey, dude, I've slipped my bird on stuff like that before. I ain't gonna lie.
Heck yeah.
When I'm
I'm
trapping,
definitely not above it.
No, anybody who says they are is full of it.
Never works for me. Anytime I try that, it never pans out.
It almost never pans out, but I did catch a squirrel from my bedroom window with a red tail one time.
That is cool. That's cool.
I was supposed to be doing my homework, and I threw that sucker right out the window. She nailed it on the front lawn.
That explains
awesome.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. On the subject of quail and yards, trapping Harris hawks out in Arizona, you're in these little neighborhoods, and the yards are mostly like mesquite trees and stuff. For some reason, I don't know why they do it, but maybe it's to conserve water. They just keep like native vegetation in their yards. Mm-hmm. You're sitting there with your BC out, and there's just a million like California quail just running back and forth across the road in these neighborhoods. And then the Airbnb we stayed in, every single night, you pull in and close the car door, and quail would flush out of the bushes beside the house.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you see that a lot with Gambler's quail, or I've seen that with Gambler's quail, I should say, and see falconers that like catch them, in town. And I
might have the quail wrong. It's either California or Gambles.
What were you in Southern Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Gambles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a quail nerd, but I love them. I think they're a super cool bird.
Yeah, they're my bread and butter, man. There's nothing else I like more. Prairie chickens, I don't know.
Yeah, and you got the bird for it. So let's get into that.
Yeah,
but Jake, tell us how. Well, so we'll get into what you're flying, but let's get the cliche, regular questions out of the way, and then we'll get into the good stuff.
How'd you get started as a falconer?
Well, you see, I found this book called My Side of the Mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Really? Teach our own. Really? Wow.
Has anybody ever told you that before?
Yeah.
No, but is that you want me to go into that? I can.
Just a little. We don't have to go. We don't have to go like.
Don't bore us.
I was 9 years old when I just.
Yeah, I think I was either 9 or 10 years old, and just a punk kid, and I believe I was 10. Guys came up to our door at my family's ranch and asked to fly a pond that had ducks on it, and pulls up. He actually ended up becoming my sponsor once he moved here. He was from Illinois, moved down here. Anyway, comes up to the door, knocks on the door. I come up, start talking to him. He's like, "Yeah, I noticed there are some ducks on your pond." And me being a kid who's just totally ate up with hunting, every magazine, all that kind of stuff. I was, pretty deep into it. And comes up, and we started talking. I was like, yeah, duck season's kind of been over. It's March. And he's like, oh, no, we're trying to catch them with falcons, so we have a different season. I was like, dude, what? And he opens up the sliding door of his van. Dude, it would have been so easy to throw me in that van.
I was going to say.
Swear to God, man. Still has the van. I swear he does. And anyway, no, we go out, and his bird ends up checking off, and we ended up throwing a baggie pheasant, and it just came down and just pounded that thing. And I got to see long winging right off the rip, which seems like it's kind of the opposite of what most people start out seeing. And it was kind of off to the races from there. Those guys kind of there's a small long winger meet they have every year in the town I am closest to. And I was like, dude, I was their little protege, dude. They would tell me when they were coming 2 weeks beforehand. I'd burn up that was when we had a home phone, burn up the phone line, calling every rancher, within like 10 miles to bother them about me taking my falconry buddies out. And we did that for a long time, did it every year until I started in falconry 4 years ago. So I've been hanging out with those guys for a while. And it was all long winging too, 100% long winging.
Yeah, that is unique because that's like very rare that you hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said he moved there. You discouraged him from moving there as well?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know he was moving here. He calls me, and it's a number from the next area code north of us. I was like, yeah, who's this? And he's like, oh, it's Kirk. Like, why are you calling me from a freaking 620 number, dude? And then he's like, oh, I moved to Kansas. Like, oh, all right, cool. Thanks for the memo. But no, he's a good dude, man.
So it worked out. Were there not any local falconers near you before he moved there?
Yeah, and really, he's not even local to me. That's an hour and 20 minutes from me. So he wanted to move somewhere with a tennis club. So I guess that was the place closest to me with a tennis club. He's a big tennis guy. But he's different cat. He's a good dude though. But yeah, so no, there's a falconer local to me, and another kid who's apprenticing under my sponsor, everybody's about 20 or 30 minutes away from me. So nobody too terribly close,
That's a little close, Jake.
It's closer than I want anybody, but we're all doing different things, so it doesn't matter to me.
That's good. I want to know. So your sponsor was like a long winger, but so you started with a red tail.
Yeah, and I did start with a red tail, and that was another thing. He's not. I've heard of people's sponsors being like, no, you can only talk to me about this. He goes, dude, talk to anybody. I haven't flown a red tail in 25 years, and super chill like that. And came and hunted with me. It was a lot of fun too because we'd go fly my red tail and then go fly pheasants or ducks with his long wings. So we always had a lot of fun, just kind of making a day out of it and stuff like that. He was good help with my red tail, getting me through things and talking me through it. He was, for being an hour and 20 minutes away, he'd come down at the drop of a hat if I needed help. But I tried to make it to where I didn't need help, too. So no, I like doing things on my own.
Call one of my apprentices today asking about custom gloves on Facebook. It was on Strictly Red-tailed Hawks.
Yeah, I seen that. I seen the post.
I screenshot it and I sent him a message and I said, I don't allow custom gloves.
What does he want a custom glove for? What does he want his name on it or something?
I don't know, dude. That's some apprentice shit right there.
Yeah, it's like, come on. Yeah, it's fun having a nice fancy glove, but
I was flying with an insulated glove from the fucking hardware store today. So, I mean,
yeah. We've all been there. Your sponsor, the tennis player, is he a hunter otherwise, or is he just a falconer?
No, he's just a falconer. I actually took him gun hunting over my bird dogs, and that was like the first time that he'd picked up a gun in 20 years, and he had a freaking blast too. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun.
He's like, this is way easier.
No, he didn't hit shit. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
So, what are you currently flying?
So I'm flying imprint Tiersel Siberian Goshawk from Mark Moglich. That he's in his second year.
Is he a pure Siberian?
He's half Siberian, half Butyoides. I don't ever know how to say it right. Butyotype.
Yeah, the Butyoides. Yeah, I think it that genus, that whole that whole subspecies is it like it flows into Finland and then flows into Siberia and Russia and Germany. So you can get like a Finnish butyoides, but you can also get an albitus butyoides.
Yeah, that's what he is, albitus butyoides. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically pure. And he's white, and he's a Tiercel, and he's white. So usually the Tiercels, if they were crossed with something else, the Tiercels they almost are never white. So if they're white, they're usually pure. Mm-hmm. From what I've seen and heard, I don't know everything about it though. I'd love to get somebody on, Aaron, like they could like break down like how all this crap works with breeding and how the genes mix and stuff. But yeah, that's like my dream bird. It's not really my dream bird. I've pretty much flown my dream bird. I have my dream bird. She's actually still in my truck. I got to put her in her mew. The North American, but so what does he fly at? That's like the one unanswered question that people have is like, because like Finnish Tiercels, North American Tiercels, they're kind of like they stay in this range, around like the 600s, maybe 700s, and then so like they say like the Siberians are like just that little bit bigger. Is that true? Like, what is he flying at?
Well, I just tell you what, I don't have any experience with any of the other ones, so I'll just tell you what I'm flying mine at. I flew him at rabbits. His rabbit and quail weight, I should say quail weight, that I really like him at is between 785 and 800 grams.
Jeez, dude.
And that's the other thing too is it's not like I'm not flying him anything close to thin. Like I'm flying him fat as a dog tick, and and that's where I'm getting those cubby rise catches on quail. And like I don't know if you see my story the other day, but I had a really good video of him raking feathers off the cubby rise. That's where I'm getting that big shotgun start, like right off the rip of him just rolling in there, and I'm not getting that. So I dropped him down a good bit to fly ducks, and I was flying him around the 755, 760 range, and he's like I said, still not thin at that weight, but and we were having a lot of good luck with the ducks once we got them all figured out and got the right slips, because I just never done it. And like I said, all my falconry experience beforehand, either with a red tail or with long wings. Before I got a goshawk, I'd never seen it. I'd seen one goshawk fly, and it was about a 15-minute deal, and the bird got put up. But anyway, so he has that little higher weight I like him at for the quail, but he is a lot meaner on the rabbits, I will say, at that 760 weight. He's lights out on rabbits, whereas at that 780, it seems like he's not ever going to turn him down or anything like that, but he's just not like, he doesn't like try to penetrate cover near as hard at that 780 to 800 weight. If that makes sense?
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, he had a sick ass rabbit flight where he thumped cover about as hard as a Tiercel goshawk can today. We had a bunch of good flights today. It was great. It was just the spot where I got into most of my bunnies at. It was just, shoulder high. I'm not very tall, but like shoulder high goldenrod and stuff like that. So he was really trying to have to get down hard on him and stuff like that. But we had a couple really good ones.
That's awesome. Yeah. I've heard, because I chat with different guys that fly like a couple, they've been flying, albitus Tiercels and stuff. And they say that they're like the feathered quarries, like they're really drawn to that. But, then you hear like North Americans, they'll eat up rabbits and get obsessive over rabbits. Like Ian Anderson, like your neighbor in Iowa, like his bird, like
right there, dude.
Yeah, he's got to keep that bird away from rabbits, because like if it sees a rabbit, it just goes into bunny mode and then doesn't want to chase pheasant. It just wants to catch rabbits.
Really?
But the albitus is like real birdy. Like they just, especially the Tiercels, they want to just, they're obsessed with birds. So that makes sense that.
And mine definitely is, but like, I've been, I don't know. He definitely likes both, man. Like that bird's never turned down a rabbit flight. And never turns. I don't know. He just gets after it, man. I don't see any of the pickiness out of my bird, and I don't know if I'm doing something right or wrong, but I just don't see it in him. Whereas like you're talking about with Ian's bird, like if he switches on to rabbits, like he's hunting rabbits. I don't.
Yeah, the bird doesn't. Yeah, the bird that bird's like very And somebody told me that about North Americans, because I didn't enter my North American female on ducks at all. I just did like squirrels and rabbits. And like, I'll give her duck slips that are like money duck slips, and she'll kind of like wait on the rise. And then like, as they're flying away, she'll like take off and like half-ass chase them.
Uh-huh.
So like, I think North Americans get like, and I just could be just like my opinion, anecdotal from what I hear from people, but like get like fixated on the quarry they're entered on, and then that becomes like their thing. Whereas like the European birds, they seem to like whatever presents itself, they're just gonna
Sure.
They're more,
Yeah,
they're
you know
more
what I mean?
cultured.
Well, and if
Yeah.
I mean
more culture.
that does what they are more cultured.
Yeah.
There's nothing more elitist than walking around with pointing dogs and a white goshawk on your fist. I just want to let you guys know that.
The mustache. I think the
You
mustache
point while you're out there.
Yeah.
with a
Wearing
ribbon
your
mustache.
Filson.
No,
I don't own any
the mustache.
Filson.
The mustache offsets the elitism.
Yeah, dude, I like to keep it kind of like one and the other. I like both. I like the white trash and the elitism. I like
You
to
mix
stay
it
in the middle.
together.
I can hang out with anybody. I can hang out with anybody.
Exactly. That's
But
what I
no,
like. That's awesome.
Back to that point though, just kind of about the white birds being a little more open to either thing, more so than one, is like I never showed my bird a rabbit entering him on anything. He's super wed to quail, but our first head of game was cottontails. So
wow, that's interesting.
I don't know, and he would chase him and stuff. He'd never seen him before, so I thought that was pretty cool too. Is like I never entered him on him. He'd never even ate rabbit. All he ate was feathered game, and so I was told by several people like you're not gonna have to try that hard to get that bird to catch rabbits. He's just gonna. So I didn't worry too much about it.
That's great. Go ahead, Aaron.
I got some questions for you. You mentioned training and all that. I've imprinted a goshawk before, but I did not tame hack it. I think you tame hacked your bird, right?
So no, I didn't tame hack this bird. I had a goshawk beforehand that got killed on tame hack, and I didn't need to feed the owls twice, man.
Tell me some more about that.
I got a bird from Dennis Samney, little Tiercel, North American finish, and had him going good, man. It was the 9th day tame hack. Everything was going smooth. I was kind of on top of the world. Ended up, he got chased by some Mississippi kites. That I kind of live right on the edge of town, and we have a lot of them. And they'd never been an issue before. And I go out. He hung out in I have a big elm tree that's real sprawled out over my yard, and he'd hang out in that all day, bounce around. I'd catch him in a few other trees every now and then, but he was in a dead tree. And I go outside. It's like an hour before dark, and go to call him down. And I was coming out with my basket, like I was carrying him in because I was still keeping him inside at night and whatever. And my lure, my food, my everything, and he's getting dive bombed. And I heard him cacking, so I ran out there and I got out there just in time to see him like darting off. And he went about 200 yards. By the time I got him found good, it was too dark for him to come down. He was so wigged out, man. Now that I know like a little more about goshawks, he was in like full bug-eyed psycho mode, and there's no way he was coming down and found a pile of feathers in the morning. So it was a bad deal. And he flew into like a 60-foot tall dead cottonwood tree. There was no way I could like climb it or do anything short of calling the fire department.
Did you assume he was going to be dead the next morning?
We live in a pretty high, I live right off the biggest river bottom around here. A lot of owls, man. A lot of fucking owls. So yeah, I was on the phone with, anybody I knew who had tame hacked a bird, and they're like, yeah, it ain't good. It's a moonlit night. And I was like, yeah, that's not good. And my only like hope was we had like a distant chance of rain. I was so hoping that like, that storm would have rolled in and just poured rain all freaking night, and would have kept, the owls at bay maybe, but then just didn't work out in my favor, man.
There are a lot of owls out there, I've noticed.
Oh, dude, it's pitiful.
It might be.
I see them all the time. Like I see them in the daylight here.
It's because it's like wherever there's a tree or stand of trees, you're going to see them because they have nowhere else to go because you don't have many trees, right?
There's a lot more trees where I'm at, hedgerows, river bottoms, stuff like that. Whereas like it's not like where they had NAF at. Where I live looks nothing like that. A lot of trees, a lot of big grass, farm fields, stuff like that. Excuse me. Whereas, Southwest Kansas looks more like, New Mexico than Kansas.
Right. Yeah, that's the question that everybody asks. How common is it? And I think Tyler did an excellent job. It was like 3 years ago. He put like a poll out on social media, like, who has lost a bird, on tame hack. And it was like such a super low number, and it's like the risks kind of like that. The reward of what you get from a tame hack, like, really outweighs the risks, but there is always the risk.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's like always the risk. And like my North American, she's like my favorite. Well, she's not my favorite bird at this moment in time. We're going through a little bit of a phase. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't even want to talk about it because it just enrages me. But she'll still catch the living crap out of anything that moves. But she's just like, I pull her out of the box and she just binds immediately to the glove and starts biting and twisting the glove. And she'll bite and twist the entire hunt. And then any rabbit that gets up, she'll immediately let go and chase it. Mm-hmm. And then if I get her back on the glove, she just immediately binds again and then bites and twists. And like my fingers are like sore. Like I have no idea. I don't feed her I never fed her on the glove ever. So I don't know like what it is. Guys are saying she's heavy. Let's bring her down, see if that snaps her out of it. And it's just pain in the neck. But she slept out overnight, right. And I got owls I got owls all over. And I mean, I was under that tree. I took pheasants, dude. I was throwing them like a football, dude, up in that tree.
Yeah.
And they'd be fluttering like right past her face. And when they go into roost mode, it's almost like they get like possessed, where they just zone out and just stare straight ahead of them and they don't move. And she was in roost mode. She would not come down. And I think it was like similar because it was the same year. So I knew your bird got taken out. So I was thinking of that the whole time. And I'm like, oh, my bird's dead. She's dead. I'm going to come back in the morning. She's going to be dead. And luckily she was alive. And I stayed there I stayed there late and I had, big lights on her, I snuck in my neighbor's property and I had like lights on back there and I'm like throwing stuff and I'm taking rabbit carcasses like by the legs, like through my legs, like on World's Strongest Man when they're throwing the kegs. And I'm just launching them up in the air, like, what I mean? And I could have sworn I was going to go back there in the morning and she'd be dead. And I went back at 5 a.m. before light. And as soon as I made some noise and stuff, she started screaming. And I go, oh my God, thank you.
Thank God.
And then she still wouldn't come down. She was still acting weird. Yeah, she was still acting weird. She wouldn't come down. She kept buzzing. I had a pheasant on the line and she kept buzzing the pheasant, like would not come down. It was so weird. It's just like always on our mind. And it's crazy that you would think there's so many other things to be scared about, but like literally the great horned owl is like the biggest threat to your bird.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
And after, nobody could give me these bright ideas. When my bird was in the tree, when I called everybody, everybody's like, well, why didn't you, like the day after, like, why didn't you put a radio under your bird so the owls maybe wouldn't have heard him and keyed in on him? I'm like, where the fuck was that idea last night, dude? No, that's something if anybody listening ever gets in a pickle like that, maybe it'll help, especially if they're in a tree with some foliage. I think that my bird was cooked no matter what I did just because of where he was. It was on a dead limb of a dead tree on a moonlit night, in a tree that I see owls just sit in on the regular. So
that's so
he literally couldn't have picked a worse tree to go to. And but yeah, that's falconry, man.
Yeah. I thought like I had all kinds of ideas when I was trying to get that bird out of that tree. I was thinking of going to one of those tacky like stores and getting like disco balls and like lights and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and just put it under the tree and like, yeah, the radio is a good idea. Just play like techno music. Like it's like some rave in the middle of the woods or something.
Nobody wants to listen to that shit. They'll go the other way.
Exactly, dude. Just play some trans house tropical music, like just blasted. And
the only person you'll call in with that's Harrison.
Yeah. Harrison's gonna he just comes through the woods like dancing all the way from Maryland.
Had to get our Harrison plug in, dude.
Yeah. Harrison's got to get plugged in every episode. Then just kills all my rabbits in my field.
I was gonna say he would show up with his bird and like let his bird would bind to yours and drop out of the tree with it.
Hey, like, I got her.
If that gets it down, that'll work.
Yeah. Just kidding, Harrison. We're just joking. Harrison is a good
joke.
Guy.
He's very sensitive.
Yes. So then
question about the hacking though.
Okay, go ahead.
What about red-tailed hawks? Any concern about that?
You know, I hate to even speak to it because that's the only time I've ever done it. And I don't want to sit here and pretend like I know anything about it, but I didn't have any real trouble with red tails or anything like that. And I have red tails and red shoulders I see every day around my house. Coops. I had no issues with any of them, but it could also be too that, you know, I have dog pins that right where I was hacking and stuff like that. And they just don't get too close to the house. But, yeah, I didn't have any issues with red tails, but I'm definitely no hack expert. I can tell you that.
Casey, do you worry about that?
I worry about it like when I have an IS and it's like in that stage where it's walking around, and I got it like on my deck or like on a table in my yard with like the nest bowl and maybe a rabbit carcass or a squirrel carcass, and like it's hopping around and kind of moving. And I go inside to like get something. Like I'm always thinking like, oh, a red tail is going to come, like just cruise through my yard and snatch this thing and fly away with it, you know?
Sure.
But I've never heard of anything like that happening to somebody. And somebody, I forgot who it was that told me, and they're like, it's a good point that they made. And they're like, well, it's like the summer, you know, spring, early summer, you know, there's plenty of
food out there.
There's plenty of food out there. It's not like the middle of winter where stuff is desperate to like just come and, you know, snatch stuff. So like the risk of that happening is kind of low. And then especially on the hack, you know, it's a bigger bird. It's more trouble than it's worth. They'll probably just leave it alone. You know, they may come and harass it a little bit, but you know, there's always a risk. But then, so I want to get into the part where this is a cool part. And this is, you know, in our community as Falconers, right? They're the most loving, kind, very gentle people that don't, you know, run their mouth or anything. We're like super sweet people.
You know, kind of compassionate. Yeah.
Super kind of compassionate. And I say that with sarcasm because we have a tendency in any group that has like some sort of, you know, a passion to it. Like we've talked about it on the show, like reptile groups and like, you know, any group, like even like my wife's in like a sourdough group, like every other woman nowadays. And like those ladies are like, oh, you put too much yeast. Of course you killed, you know, like whatever, you know. So it's like the same, you know, it's the same kind of thing. But
I live in those trenches too, dude.
Yeah, bro. Like it's like my wife's like, she throws it in the garbage. She's all mad. And I'm like, do I have to get involved with the sourdough? Because if I get involved, we're gonna make some bread. You want me to get involved? And she's like, no, I got it. I'm like, all right, you know. And but with that being said, it was really special and it was really cool. And I was kind of irritated because a bunch of people, essentially good friends of yours, chipped in to get you a new bird. Like right after that first bird got killed, they all threw their money together and called Mark. And shout out to Mark Mogich because he's like I've dealt with a lot of breeders. And, you know, Seth Roy, our boy, he's a sponsor of the show. He's a really good guy. Other breeders. But like Mark is like a very kind person. He's a really nice guy. And they called him and told him the situation. Did they tell you that they were going to do that or no?
No. So, dude, I called Tyler Sladen because he was the one he was hacking a bird. He just got done right as I was getting started. So I was leaning pretty hard on him for a lot of information with the hack and whatnot. My bird got killed. I called him. I told him, you know, beat myself up just like anybody would. And I go to work, finish out the day. I'm on the way home and Tyler calls me and then like tells me that he found a bird for me. I was like, you know, it was a white bird, a tear soul. I was like, dude, that's kind of what I fucking wanted to fly anyway. But he's like, yeah, and you don't have anything to worry about. Me and the boys, we got you. I was like, what the fuck do you mean you got me? And you know, him and it's actually Tyler's the only one that's even a falconer. But it was just kind of a group chat of dudes that I'm in. We're all bird dog guys, or dog guys in general, and a couple of us are falconers, and they all pitched in and threw together and bought me this bird. Just totally. I had to pull over on the side of the road, man. I was driving down the highway. I had to pull over when they told me that. I couldn't believe it. I never really had anybody do anything for me, so that was a pretty big deal. I haven't taken it lightly.
Nobody did that for me this year.
Hey, yeah. I would say the same thing. But
GoFundMe, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, actually, I sent you the screenshot, Aaron. So there
are some wonderful people out there, and
there's some wonderful people out there. My dog got killed. Aaron's giving me a dog, which he doesn't have to do. So he's giving me a dog for free. At least I thought it was free. That's what he said.
It's free. Well, nothing's really free.
Nothing's really free, yeah. But no, yeah. But so there's people out there.
Yeah, and like during that deal too is like what do you call your North American? Betsy?
Betsy. Do you know why I call her Betsy? You got the mustache. You should know.
Yeah, I do. I remember you telling me the Davy Crockett thing. Yeah,
that's right. Anybody with a mustache needs to know that Betsy was Davy Crockett's favorite hunting rifle.
Yeah, so, dude. But no, whenever we were looking for my bird,
you should name her Little Man.
Moglich had still had yours. So, and I don't know if you guys had spoken. She was spoken for yet, but I was like, dude, give me the North American. I can afford that one. And they're like, yeah, no, actually Casey's getting it. I'm like, all right, I'll take the Tears.
Best bird ever.
That'll work. So it worked out in my favor. My bird doesn't bite my fucking glove.
Bro, she's like a sweetheart. I'm dude, I don't know what I did. I must have done something. I don't know what the heck I did. But and then I took her out the other day and she was like lower than normal. And she just sits on the glove like a sweetheart waiting for Ginger before Ginger passed away, waiting for her to pop something out. And I remember I took my phone out and I said, all right, I guess like 950, I guess, is the weight. I don't know what the heck's going on with this bird. She's a sweetheart now, but it's like I'll pull her out. She'll be like 970, 960, and she's like twisting and biting and footing. And I don't know what it is. I got to call Steve Lehman or something because I don't know what the heck is going on with this bird. Because I never fed her on the glove ever. It's lure, hop up to the glove, keep hawking. After we're done trading, catching game, lure, finish eating, hop up the glove, walk back to the truck, or keep hawking. Like I never feed her on the glove. I don't know where this came from. I'm like, what did I do? So whatever, we'll figure it out. But no, man, you got a killer. And did you name him the Machine before you knew he was a machine?
No, dude, that was his name from the get-go. We were sitting around talking. I was like, dude, I'm getting a Russian goshawk. And I was like, Russian, what should we name him? Russian. And then, Bert Kreischer, the Machine. And, so that's how that all came about. So.
And he is a machine, huh? He's a beast.
Yeah, he does all right. We catch some stuff every now and then.
Yeah, you sure do. No, man, that's great, dude. So you're out there just hawking. You got, what are you running in terms of dog?
So I have 4 German short hairs and English setter that I just got this year, and recently just entered him when I went out to bag my bird 2 weekends ago, and he did great, man. I'm tickled to death with that little dog. He's starting as good as any of the dogs I've ever started. So I've been in dogs for a long time, long before I was a falconer. So I have 2 of my short hairs are 10. I have a 6-year, or I guess chunk 7. And then my 3-year-old Pickles, who is my primary falconry dog, because she's really good on rabbits, pretty close ranging type dog, really biddable, and just gives the bird a wide berth, and does really well. And not that any of my other dogs don't. She's just the one that goes the most.
Got it. Now, so when you think of and they're all GSPs, right?
I have 1 setter, yeah.
1 setter. When you think of those dogs, you don't think of them as necessarily rabbit dogs, but so are they pointing rabbits out in the field and stuff? Are they going through brush, or how does that work?
Yeah, so Pickles, for instance, she's very good at pointing rabbits. She's not she'll when they get up in front of her, she'll open on them and run them just like any other dog, any kind of actual like a beagle or whatever. I mean, she's chopping every time her foot hits the ground, right on their tail. And that goes, I think that's just a quality that a lot of German dogs are going to have, because they all point fur. And all these dogs, before they were falconry dogs, they're also just true to the core, meat-eating gun dogs, man. I kill coons with them, those things that Casey loves, those on occasion. And,
allegedly.
Allegedly. No, it's not illegal here. And anyway, yeah, I don't have any issues jumping back and forth from falconry to the gun dog thing. I think that any dog that you have a pretty decent handle on is well on their way to, that could be a good falconry dog.
That's good. Yeah, because I get messages from people all the time. They're like, oh, should I get a dachshund? Should I get this? Should I get that? Because I'm the guy who runs dachshunds. So everyone asks you questions, and I'll tell people honestly, I'm like, if you live somewhere like Jake or like somewhere like Tyler in the middle, like you don't need it. You don't really need a dachshund. Like you need something that's going to cover ground, that's going to move game and like cover a lot of ground quickly, you know, and get the point or get the flush so that, you know, you can get it done because the dachshunds, I mean, you know, they work slower, let's face it. But, you know, I got very, very dense, thick cover.
Yeah. They're the tool for what you need for where you are.
Yeah. And I do go to spots where I'm like, dang, man, I wish I had like a freaking cocker span, you know, a cocker to like just rip through this and just get something to move, you know, because the dachshund's just taking too long.
Dude, and I think that honestly, like a cocker or Springer Spaniel is like the ultimate goshawk dog for doing what I do. That close range, back and forth, ripping back and forth, diving into cover. My short hair does all that for me, and will range out when I quail hunt. But man, like there's a lot of days, like today's one of them where I would have like just to keep a dog inside of 5 or 10 yards would be very optimal for that kind of cover to be flying those rabbits where in the particular cover I was in today. And I think that they would add a lot to my falconry, and I'm looking pretty seriously at them, man. I really like them. I would
cockers?
just like to hunt more, you know.
A cocker?
I would lean more on the Springer side.
Why?
I have a friend, her name's Amelia Baxter. She finishes somewhere a couple of dogs up in the top 10 in the nationals every year. I think she had a dog place second Springer Nationals last year, and she trains cockers, but she breeds Springers. And I like the cockers. They just kind of got that wear your skin kind of vibe to them. I really like them. I hunted one this year, and it was so much fun. We were just gun hunting over him. We had my pointing dogs and my buddy Robert's locked up in front of us, and we just fed that cocker right in and flushed, and we got to stay back like 10 yards and shoot. Dude, it was so nice to not have to like walk in and flush or anything like that and just know that it was coming. Like it was so cool. I had a lot of fun. And that dog found a lot of birds on his own too.
Yeah, and the cocker, they don't really point. They'll do a flash point scene with like Seth Roy because he runs cockers and stuff. But like it's like a flash point, and you can like kind of they'll stop and then like they'll freeze, and then you can kind of like run over there like as quick as you can, but like you're not really going to stop them.
There's no stopping them. I mean, that's kind of my thing with the pointing lab guys. They're like, my dog points. I'm like, yeah, to the count of 5, buddy.
Yeah,
come back in 5 minutes. Any of my dogs will still be there. You know, that's pointing. But yeah,
I mean, in terms of like flash pointing, I mean, I think I've seen my dachshunds do that where they'll they'll go up to a brush that's hot where there's a rabbit. And I think the rabbit moves, and then they almost like they freeze. Like, did it run yet? Did it run yet? And then it's like, okay, it didn't run yet, and then they go in. So it's like it's like a point, but it's like it's not really a point. You know, it's like they just kind of like they freeze for a second, like what just happened, and then they go in there. And then it's gone. Yeah. And, you know,
both their brain cells are rubbing together and creating something. And it just takes them a second sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've flown, I fly a bunch with Seth Roy, and he's like the cocker guy. And then my buddy Tom, who lives 20 minutes away from me, he's got a Springer, and that dog is, I mean, it's a Springer, dude. That thing is springing all over the place, dude. Just, and I mean, it goes right under brush, goes into stuff, it shoves its head in, you know, and so are the cockers. What's like do you know the major difference? Like, what's the major difference?
Really, I just think it's a lot of body size, and maybe there's some bitability differences there. I hate to even speak to it because I haven't been around enough of them to know. And like I said, I mean, I have some good friends that are really deep into them, but I really don't have the experience to talk about it. But I think that for me, I gun hunt waterfowl enough that I would like the bigger dog. I do it just enough to kind of like, I'm like on the precipice of like getting a dog for it, but I'm not quite there, And I think a Spring would be the ticket for me and for the cover for pheasants. I think that they have a lot of really good applications for my area.
So now I have heard this, but I think the cocker was bred for falconry specifically. Is that correct? Aaron, do you know the answer to that?
I'm not sure about that,
but it could be. I mean, the Vizsla was.
I've heard that.
Hungarian Vizsla definitely were.
Correct. I heard that about the Vizsla, but I heard the Cocker Spaniel was bred specifically for falconry in Europe. So I don't know if that's true, but the Springer is an excellent dog, phenomenal nose. I just the size difference is all I could see because Seth pulled out this puppy he has, and she's like over a year old. I mean, this dog is 20, 22 pounds. I mean, it's a small little dog. I'm like, dude, I need that little thing, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, that thing is perfect. And it's running all over the place. It's sniffing everywhere. I'm like, this is exactly what I need. You know, not too big. I don't know.
My buddy Gary has one that's, God, I bet she's smaller than 22. She is tiny. And I think I see that dog work and I'm like, dude, there's a lot of wheels turning up here for me when I see that dog work. I'm like, God, dude, I could use that thing. I could use that thing. But they got a lot of bite to them when it comes to feathers. So I'm like, that could be a tough sell, but I bet I could figure it out.
There's a dog down here called a Boykin Spaniel. I've mentioned before to Casey.
Yeah, you have.
Do you know anything about him, Jake?
The only thing I know is I know a gentleman that I guide every year. He comes up and bird hunts where I kind of help out and guide with my best friend's an outfitter here in Kansas. CNS Whitetails. It's a shameless plug. But anyway, he's a Boykin Spaniel guy, and everybody I know that's into Boykin Spaniels, it's like a colt kind of. But it's kind
is he from South Carolina?
No, he's from Mississippi. He's from right there where all like the Mossy Oak guys are from. He knows all those guys. This dude's like 9 million years old, and he just ate up with dogs and bird hunting and shit and old shotgun, been in shotguns. But what is cool about that I know about the Boykin Spaniels is they were originally bred to be like turkey hunting dogs. Like they would, the way I understand it, they would go and like bust up a flock of turkeys out of a field, and then they'd go and flush them with a Boykin Spaniel. I think that's right. He's told it to me because, like I said, he's older gentleman, so I get the same stories a lot out of old Danny. He's a good dude, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, just keeps telling the same story every time you see him, but he doesn't remember.
I do the same fucking thing, and I'm 30. So
yeah.
Look at this guy.
Yeah. That's a good looking dog.
Yeah, they don't look a lot different than a cocker. They just,
they look similar,
but they all have that liver collar to them.
They have web feet too
for swimming.
Yeah, for swimming because they developed them in the swampy areas of South Carolina.
Yeah, they're really cool dogs, man. They fill a cool niche.
It'd be kind of cool. It'd be cool just because it's different.
Yeah, it's just like
there you go, man. That's your neck of the woods.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Aaron.
I could take a beaver trapping with me.
Yeah, you could go right in that, dude. You know what I did the other day? That was super so stupid of me. Like the stupidest thing I could have ever done. And it would have been illegal for the trapper if there was a trapper there, but I didn't even think of it, and I'm an idiot. Is the bird made like this weird little flight towards like this big lake. It's not a huge lake, but like a lake that's like big enough that it's a lake, but small enough where like not a million people are like barbecuing and like playing reggaeton music around it. But there's beaver dams all over the place, right? And there's like these dams up on the side of the bank and there's like these holes where I guess the beavers come up out of the ground and go into the forest and the brush and feed and whatever they do. Whatever it is that beavers do at night. And Ginger starts going in those holes and like cruising around down in there. And I didn't even think of it. And I was like, oh, maybe there's a beaver in there. I'm like, obviously, a beaver's not going to flush out of the hole, I'm like, but I just let her do her thing. But then I was thinking I'm like, what if some dumbass trapper that didn't think anybody'd be around? I was in the middle of nowhere and like, there's a freaking conifer
bear in there. Yeah.
Dude, I'm like, my dog is dead. You know what I mean? I mean, she's dead anyway, but completely different reason, completely separate. Completely separate. I hate to laugh about it, but yeah, I mean, at this point,
it's like a good episode.
Yeah.
Listen, my Ginger was caught in a 330 body grip.
Yeah, except
and I didn't know how to open it up, so she died.
And I ended up getting stuck in it, and we were trapped in the woods, for 6 hours trying to get this thing. I found a shed antler to get it out.
We were trapped together.
Yeah, we were trapped together. But I let her go in there. It scares
me every time I set my traps up that some Yahoo's going to come along and get caught.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing will mess you up.
Man. Yeah, they command some respect for sure.
Yeah. You ever did any trapping, Jake?
Yeah, I've done a bunch of trapping. I grew up with some
guys. Talk about
what's
it.
What's
that? A bunch. Let's talk about it. We love trapping on the show.
I grew up with some guys that were retired. I grew up like 2 miles from them. So like by the time I could drive, I was over there. They had me freaking fleshing and skinning coyotes and coons and beavers and the whole nine. They didn't do a whole lot of beaver trapping. Just when like a landowner would request it, they would go trap beavers. But I snared a bunch of coyotes. I did before I got into falconry, it was just all predator calling for me. So I've done a lot more of that than anything. I used to be pretty mad at him, man. It was, it was an all year round pursuit for me. I still, to keep my sanity in the summertime is going out and shoot coyotes in the summer and have a lot of fun calling them and stuff like that. I have a lot of people that, have deer leases here that, they have me go out in the summertime during fawning season. We're not in any fucking shortage of deer, but everybody it's just like me. I don't think there's enough quail. There could be a million of them. Those guys don't think there's enough deer on their deer leases. So they let me get to go out there and shoot coyotes and hawk in there, after deer season's over. So
that's great.
I'm just fine with going and shooting coyotes for them. You ain't got to twist my arm, shoot a fucking coyote. So I have a lot of fun with that. I still do a good bit of it. Just a couple weeks ago, me and my buddy Josh were quail hunting, and we stopped to make a coyote stand, and he'd never done any of it, never done anything besides, as far as that stuff goes, besides bird hunting with a gun. And called him up a coyote. He shotgunned it, dude. It's over the moon. It was good times, but no. As far as the trapping goes, I've just got some live. I have a pretty good trap line here at my house. When I say pretty good, there's quite a few traps on 20 acres. I've been cleaning up the skunks so far this year, but we've been having a lot of fun.
What do you do with the skunks?
I was just going to ask, is there a market for skunks?
There's a railroad track right next to my house. I dispose of them. I'm not skinning any skunks, man. I did have a guy, since we were talking about beavers, I had a guy donate me some beavers the other day that he's kind of did a nuisance trapping job, and there's no money in the pelts. So he gave me some of them for hawk food. Yeah, I mean,
I thought like yellows. I thought like the word on the street in our community is that like the TV show Yellowstone's like bringing back like the cowboy hats, and that's like
right,
beaver
and
felt.
the beaver felt hats. So
yeah, is that not true?
There's a big difference between our beavers and your beavers. You guys have those. They call them like black magnums or some bullshit.
Right.
You guys have those really big dark colored ones up there, and you guys have a lot better quality guard hair than we do. And our beavers are kind of like brownish and red. So they're pretty low quality on as far as that goes. So our beavers aren't worth a lot. Same with our coyotes. Like at the highest point I ever sold a coyote for, I killed 2 really nice light colored coyotes and a bobcat in one day. And I think I left with like $80. I got 30 for, I had 25 for each coyote, whatever was left for the cat. And, that's about the best I've ever had. So,
but Jake,
we finished out 60 for 1 year, and I think our average was only like $11 that year.
But Jake, I'm in business, right? And I go into the supply house to buy parts, and they're like, oh, this, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, how much really is it? Let's call the outside salesman. Let's get these price, and then we could save you $400 on your, I'm like, all right. So like when they're telling you they give you $11, like what, like who's telling you they give you $11? Like say, all right, I'm gonna go to freaking Lester over here. He's gonna give me freaking $15. Like who's coming up with these numbers? So
I mean, there's kind of like a general market, and when I'm talking, we like all of the fur buyers here have went out of business since the fur. There's no fur like market anymore for anything we have.
Right.
So like we had the last known fur buyer I had, he had a refrigerator truck and he had a route he would run and meet you like in a parking lot and pick up coyotes and pay you whatever for them, depending on the quality of the coyote, right? And then he was down to where he was buying like freaking cow skulls and all kinds of shit, just trying to stay afloat. And then like this year, he didn't even have a circuit. And there is a difference too. Like if I have coyotes on the carcass, I go over here to a country fur buyer, right? That guy down the road, Lester, whatever the hell you just said, Lester the molester, whatever. I go down to him and he goes, okay, I'm going to have 2.5 hours in this thing, an hour of skinning, an hour of fleshing, and 30 minutes of stretching. Then I got to fucking put borax on it, let it dry, hang it in my shop till it's dry. And then that guy would then send it off to NAFTA, right? North American Fur Trade Auction or whatever the hell it was. And, then he would sell his pelts that way, and they would go in big lots to Russia or China or wherever pelts get sold to, wherever they get distributed, a furrier here. So that would be one way of doing it. And then we've done it different ways. We've sent lots of fur up to that auction. And I think the auction even happens in Canada too. But anyway, like, we'd get like 60 coyotes, and like 60 coyotes is like a small ass lot for them. Like, you're their last person on their mind. So like, I think it took like 5 or 6 months to even get money for those before somebody actually bought them. But
Wow.
That one year, me and my cousin, we skinned out like 56 coyotes and 65 coons and 4 or 5 cats and a badger. And dude, it's so much freaking work. I mean, it truly is a labor of love. You have to like doing it. And I'll tell you, since then, I ain't skinned a goddamn coyote. I'm just, I got pretty burnt out on it. Like, I have them tanned and shit like that. Like, I don't need any more coyotes. And they're not worth anything to take to Old West or down the road, So, I don't, unless I'm in a coyote tournament, I don't even go look at them. I'll put it that way.
Right. Yeah. It's hard, bro. It's like,
it sucks too, because it's like, first so cool to me, and it just sucks. There's no money in it.
It's just insane that
I'm just doing it for personal use.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
I want to make a beaver blanket. That's my goal.
Yes.
It's medicinal. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do want a beaver blanket too. I'm going to have all these beavers in my shop tanned, because I've never really messed with beaver trapping too much. And I would like to. I told myself this year I wanted to catch a few bobcats and a few beavers, but with falconry and starting a puppy and big game hunting, and I had a deer trip and shit like that. Like, I have too many fucking irons in the fire. I don't have enough time.
Dude, Aaron, you better, Jake brought up a good point about medicinal, dude. If you get enough beavers and make that blanket, I mean, you making love?
Will shoot up,
bro. You making love on that blanket? Your wife's gonna get pregnant. That thing is.
Dude.
You gotta be careful with that thing. That thing's dangerous. You don't even put it in the room with you, bro.
Even with my low test, do you think it would do something?
Dude, like we talked about the elitist goshawker with the white and the mustache, how it offsets. I think your low test with that beaver blanket, I think it's gonna bring you up to a nice level. And
you got to get
you're gonna have another kid on the way, bro.
Oh, dude, I've got a bear rug coming.
Dude, I got a.
Yeah, me and Casey right both got the bears going in the background.
Yeah, I got a cow moose hide. Look at this. Jake, you know what this is? You ever seen one of these?
Yeah, it looks like a river otter.
That is the number one. Well, besides great horned owls, that's the number one killer of goshawks in the United States. That's a fisher pelt.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, we don't have any. We don't have any fishers here. I've never seen
any of those there.
Jake, I got a bear rug coming. It's I dropped it off the taxidermist a few weeks ago.
Nice. Heck yeah, dude. That's great.
Jake, what's a good price for a bear rug? Because I got mine. Me and Aaron killed our bears 2 days apart in West Virginia over dogs. And dude, these guys are like, it's $300 a foot. It's $400 a foot. I'm like, bro, it's a 175-pound bear, bro. Like, you're gonna charge me like $1,000 for a rug? Mm-hmm. Is that normal?
Yeah. So like my taxidermist, he said there was like a 6 foot minimum, and it was like a flat fee, and then for every foot after that it was extra. And I think mine, and I got the skull back for $1,250 with the bear rug, because like, you don't have the actual bear skull in the mount, right? It's just the fucking form. So I think mine was $1,200 or $1,250. I don't remember. And then it did piss me off a little bit. I don't use that taxidermist anymore. My bear had like 8 or 10, had a little bit of white hair in its armpits, and the fucking taxidermist dyed him black. I'm like, why would you change that? Why would you do that? Yeah, that pissed me off. So that's what I said. I was like, dude, why would you even go to the trouble? And why wouldn't you ask me? But it is.
Yeah, that's a unique bear. Yeah,
sleep over it.
This bear I killed here, this one. So I thought he was special when I killed it, small bear. But it's like the whole back.
It's special because he was so little.
He was tiny. Both bears I ever killed in my life were super small, but they taste delicious, so I don't care.
Oh yeah, they're excellent, man.
They're so good.
I wanted to hang some shit. If it wasn't Aaron's first bear, I probably hung some shit on him for shooting a black lab, but I ain't gonna do that to
the guy. I shot a nice bear.
Aaron's was bigger than mine. Mine was like a.
Oh, I couldn't tell, man.
Yeah. No, dude, Aaron got the nice picture. I got some BS picture by the truck with no dogs in it. Aaron got all the good pictures.
No, that was awesome. That was really cool. My wife killed a good bear this year, man.
Yeah, dude. Tell us about your wife. Not in a weird way, but because she hunts like crazy too.
Yeah, dude. She So I don't like hunting sitting still, and she loves it. So it's kind of tough. But anyway, she's killed a couple really, really nice deer. Dude, she killed 2 deer that any grown men would trip over themselves to fucking shoot. And she set twice deer hunting and killed those 2 deer. I don't know what, we didn't ever tape the first one, but her second one, I got it right over here on the wall. It's looking at me. It scored 176. I think it had like 19 scoreable points.
Wow.
Just a fucking tank. It's the biggest deer I've ever really had like consistently on camera, especially at that place. And, dude, I had been guiding for a few days some muzzleloader hunters, and I was like, all right, it's going to be kind of, we had like a 5-degree temperature change. And a 5-degree temperature change for us in September means deer are going to be on their feet because
up or down?
Down. Yeah. It got a little bit colder and had a cloudy day. I was like, oh, let's just go sit for the hell of it. And that was before before I had cell cams. And I'd been in there once and checked, and that deer was in there a whole bunch. But I was like, oh, let's just go sit. There's any corn there or anything. Like, we'll just go see what happens. Went in there. We were in there 20 minutes. Deer jumps the fence, is coming to us. And I know how big this deer is, and I'm trying not to let her know so she's doesn't have shit running down both legs like me. And he comes from like 90 yards where we could see him jump the fence to 12 and stands broadside. And she just freaking torches his ass. And,
oh my God.
It was awesome. He ran, I don't know, he probably ran 100 yards and died in a creek, and ended up, we have a little blood tracking dog, and we'll have to get into that later, but went and found him with the dog and with her, and it was super cool. It was her first archery deer. So
with archery too.
As with a crossbow, so we'll take it easy on getting it.
All right, it's all right.
But it was still cool. It's, for a new hunter, it's great.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty lame for somebody like me to do it. Is what I mean.
Like unless you're like a woman or like in a wheelchair, they're super cool.
If you're an able-bodied grown man, I'm going to shame you. I'm going to shame you for flying a Harris Hawk, and I'm going to shame you for shooting a crossbow.
Jake, I couldn't agree with you more, brother.
We're on the same page here. No, as far as her bear hunt goes, I got her like the best, worst engagement present, wedding present ever. I have a buddy that I'd killed this bear with that's behind me. Killed it with him and in Northwest Arkansas. I was like, all right, hey Tyler. I was like, my wife wants to kill a bear bad. And he's like, bring her down. And that was my wedding present to her. Well, unbeknownst to me, we hunted for 3 years. We would just go down there for their opening weekend before she got an opportunity at a legal bear. We had bears with cubs come in. We would get winded. We had so much trouble getting a bear killed. And we, just super unlucky when we would go. We would end up going on these heavy mass crop years. And it was just tough. And, people think you set over a bait barrel and shit just walks in and stands on it. It's just not the way it happened. No. We were doing all day sits because this bear just likely, obviously the last 30 minutes of daylight's your prime time, but those bears will come in and cruise that bait, between 10 and 2 or whatever. They'll hit it randomly and sporadically throughout the day. And then she finally ended up getting a really good opportunity this year and anchored a bear. And it was a great deal, man. Really good bear. She between 180 and 200, pretty.
Nice.
I've been going down to that bear camp for 4 years, and that's like on the higher end of the average. My bear was like 150, 160. These are obviously guessing weights, but But anyway, she shot, and her bear was the most prime bear I've ever seen taken down there. A beautiful freaking coat, man. It was awesome. And dude, there's nothing better than eating freaking bear meat. Like I have a freezer full of. I'm so fucking thankful.
It's like that's why I tell people like, oh, you just kill bears for fun. I'm like, dude, I'm killing the bear. Like I would rather eat bear over pretty much besides deer. I'd rather eat bear over anything. Man. It's so good. It's so delicious.
Even more than chicken tendies.
Bro, any day. This disgusting chicken tenders are going to give me cancer, bro. RFK is going to fix all that. So maybe I'll eat chicken tenders later.
He's about to get rid of my antidepressants, bro.
Bro, he's just trying to make you healthy, bro. Come on, let's go with it. Is he really? Is that what he said?
Dude, he's gonna put a 32-ounce ribeye in your hand and a quart of whiskey. You'll be good, man. Give it 2 weeks.
All I need is my beaver blanket, some bear meat.
Dude.
Yeah, dude.
Your chest hair will start growing again. It'll be all good.
That's what you need, bro. You don't need any antibiotics. All you need is just freaking beaver blankets, bear meat, bro. You're gonna be good. Yeah. No more pharmaceutical. So I'm gonna tell a quick story because this is like, so, you know, I got followers, Jake's got followers, right? And like, people message you and talk to you, and like, you don't really know who they are necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
And then like, so back in the day, Jake like messages me, and I said something about
shot this.
Yeah, dude. And so Jake messaged me. He's like, dude, I got a little leftover, you know, bear grease if you want it. And I was like, hell yeah. But I don't know who Jake is. So I'm like, yo, is this guy trying to like poison me because he's like anti-hunting or something? But I'm like, no, he's got deer and stuff on his page. So like, it can't. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah. So I gave you my address. He comes beautifully packaged in this little thing. Dude, I mean, it's gone now, but I mean, I ate the crap out of that stuff. I mean, listen, if you're using olive oil and these chemicals that you're spraying on your pans, like, you're going to get cancer and die. Like bear oil, which is like, it's basically like if you picture like coconut oil where you scoop it out with a spoon and you put it in the pan and then it liquefies. And
it really is like coconut oil, how nice and white hard it is.
It is. Really. Exactly. That's why I use it, because my wife has both. And I told her, we got to stop using that crap. You got to use the bear oil. And it cooks at a higher temperature. It's like beef tallow, basically. It cooks at a higher temperature. It's healthier for you. It's delicious. Like the whole country at one point, like, used that predominantly to cook anything in. Like if you were frying anything, it was fried in bear oil. Like that's just how it went.
Or they use pork lard, and bear lard is shelf stable for like 3 times longer.
Exactly. Well, there's a reason why. So it's yeah. So I mean, you sent it to me. I ate a little with like some eggs. I'm like, all right. I didn't die. Mine just started foaming at the mouth.
I sent some to you, and I sent some to Tyler. Sent some to Yubi, and I was so disappointed in my wife's bear because it just wasn't that fatty. Because I got like I got a quart jar is what I got off that whole bear. I was bummed out.
It's better than nothing. So now I have to ask this question because I don't like, shout out to the listeners here, but I don't care. We went to West Virginia, me and Aaron. We had to me, Aaron, you could correct me if I'm wrong. It was like a once in a lifetime hunt, which apparently we're invited back every year now. So this is going to be awesome. To hunt bears over dogs in West Virginia in the mountains. The butcher, we told him we wanted to keep the fat, specifically to make oil. And he goes, really? Like, he's like, no one asked me to do that. I said, are you kidding me? No one asked. He's like, yeah, I just throw it in the dumpster. I said, what do you mean you throw it in the dumpster? So I said, no, I want the fat trimmed. I want it put in a separate bag, and I want to render it down. So he's like, okay, all right, no problem. So he rendered. So he said, so okay, but now my first bear, I didn't render any fat. I wasn't educated. I was uneducated. I was like an idiot. Like what? Like, how do you render bear fat? Because I got a bunch of different opinions. Like, what's the best way to do it? You just boil it down. You put like water in the bottom of the. Like, what do you do?
No water. All right, I'll tell you how I did it, and it's the way Clay Newcomb does it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is I think he had. I just got like a pot and did it on like the deal you put a fish fryer on, like an outside propane burner, and I just took a little bit of it and got it in there and got it liquefied real nice. And dude, I just had it cubed up in like 1-inch cubes, started adding it. It just kept adding bear fat. And then like those, they're like little strainers on a stick that you can like sift through the oil and shit. Like you would see in the fast food restaurant, see them clean the oil with. You can do that and you'll get all the cracklings out of it. Shit. And you'll do that as you go, and you just keep adding bear fat. And then whenever it renders down, right? Then you separate that off in jars or however you're going to store it. I do recommend doing glass jars. So
glass jars for sure. Because you don't want the microplastics to leach into the oil. Then you need to help.
Dude, RFK is going to pop in one of these squares and just tell us we're doing a great job.
Exactly. So are you sure? Like, because I heard somebody was saying they strain it multiple times, then they recook it after it solidifies a second time. So you're just doing it once. You're sifting the cracklings off, and then you're straining it into glass jars as it's hot.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that's what I did, But yeah, that's exactly what I did. And then I put it into the jars hot, tighten them down, and then as I was still doing it, like I don't know if you've ever canned anything, but you hear like the tops of the fucking jars like set in. It goes ting, and then like you have a good seal and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I had, and I said, until like 6 months ago, I was still eating fat off of that bear. So
yeah,
it was good.
Delicious.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, I sent it to a lot of people, man. It was cool.
Dude, you put a little of that. You take a little, like half a teaspoon or like a teaspoon. You throw that in the freaking pan, cast iron pan. You crack a couple eggs in there, dude. You fry. Dude,
yeah, I used it as leather conditioner. I used it for cooking. Yeah, lube, whatever. Yeah. It'll work for anything.
Dude, bear oil was a form of currency at one point, wasn't it?
According to Clay Newcomb.
Yeah, I don't know. I listen to all of Clay Newcomb stuff too, and I believe so.
Jake, we went and did falconry with Bear Newcomb, his son. You know that, right?
Yeah, I seen that. That's cool, man.
Yeah. Bear's a friend of the show, supporter of the show. He made a reel the other day on his page, actually, and then Meat Eater shared it, and he had the Sporting Chance podcast T-shirt on.
Dude.
Yeah. Nobody knew, but whatever.
We sent one of those to Clay too.
Oh, right. We sent one with he's not going to wear it, dude. He's too. At this point, he's a celebrity. And listen, I would argue that Clay is even cooler than Steve Ranella.
Way cooler.
He's super cool.
I think he's more personable, for sure.
He's just more like he's got the mules. He's rendering down the fat. He's at the bear camp. Like Steve.
He's a dog guy.
He's a dog guy. He's right.
He's
Steve
is fucking plot hounds and cream pies. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. He's up our alley, dude. He's right up our alley.
Yeah.
The video of him shooting the bear in the wetsuit. That's way cooler than anything Ranella's ever done.
Well, yeah. Well, and I'll tell you like that. He done that wolf trapping video in Southeast Alaska. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, man. No, Clay does a lot of cool shit. And dude, I'll tell you, he was a lot of the reason, because before he had the Bear Grease podcast he does with Meat Eater, he had the Bear Hunting Magazine podcast.
Correct.
All the episodes are still up. Anybody that's going bear hunting should listen to those.
Yep.
Because they talk about archery shot placement with bears and stuff like that a lot. It'll help you out.
I subscribe to that podcast, even though it's not really active anymore.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I was nerding out so fucking hard before I went bear hunting the first time. And then I yacked the first bear that walked in. I told those guys, first one that walks in is dying. I just want you to know that.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Dude, after what happened to my dog this year, I talked to Aaron. I didn't tell you. I messaged Brian Melvin. Brian Melvin's the friend of the show. Killed the record bear with a bow in Jersey, 770 pounds dressed. So that's close to a 900-pound bear. Unreal. He told me he'd put me on bear this year. He said anything I could do to help. And just to plug the show that already came out probably a couple weeks ago, we had Kelsey Burgess on the show. He was, dude, people don't realize this. Kelsey was literally the guy that was in front of the whole New Jersey, government to help get the bear season opened in New Jersey. That was his job. He was the head biologist. And so we did an episode that's going to air. Well, for you, it's going to air tomorrow, but for the listeners, it already aired. And so we talked about what happened to Ginger with the bear. And then Kelsey came on the show, which was so nice of him to come on the show. And we just talked bears and crazy stories of crawling in dens with dart guns and, getting grabbed by bears and thrown out of the way. The guy is imagine Aaron, you got to sit in front of a kid that's got some kind of problem. You got to talk him through it. I got to go and fix some plumbing issue that's in somebody's house. This dude, for his job, he has to crawl into a hole in the ground with a giant female bear and 3 cubs and dart them.
I also have to worry about school shooters.
I was gonna say, but at least you could the kid will come in and then point it at you and be like, I like you. You can live to, and then
yeah, when he looks Aaron in the eye and be like, "Stay home tomorrow."
Yeah. that was the joke. I couldn't get out of my mind. You should stay home tomorrow, Aaron.
Why don't you take a day off, Aaron?
You should go fly your birds tomorrow. I know you like doing that kind of stuff.
Catch your dachshunds tomorrow. About noon.
It's not funny, but it's funny. Oh my god!
Dude, I've had some crazy stuff happen that.
Yeah,
I know this is not the point. This is not what we're talking about.
I've heard some of these too, and it's I'm like, God. Holy crap, bro! Jeez, dude.
anyway, back to shooting bears.
Aaron's got to keep his job, so let's just stop talking about this. All right, so we covered a little bit of dogs. I want to talk. So you used a dog to track your wife's big buck that she killed. What's the deal with it? What kind of dog was it?
Oh, so we have he's a 3-year-old basset hound, and we specifically got him for me to get into blood tracking deer essentially, and doing that I say on the side, but like it kind of is on the side of falconry and gun hunting my bird dogs and stuff. It's kind of like takes a back seat to that, but man, it is a lot of fun, and we really took leaps and bounds forward this year because I was just kind of doing it for friends before with him. I'm like, yeah, if you guys 12 ring a doe or whatever, I got this puppy. I'm trying to get started blood tracking. It's really how it started. Was my wife wanted to get a corgi. I don't like herding dogs. I'm not a house pet guy. I don't really believe in having dogs as pets. I want a working dog that can be a pet, on its days off and such. And I was like, I'd already wanted to do the blood tracking thing. I'd already found a few deer with my German short hairs, just going out, putting them on it and
cool.
Whatnot. And I'm not a big fan of I don't like versatile dogs. I like dogs that are like a scalpel, right? Like they have one primary focus. And this is the way I didn't have to deal with a corgi was get a blood tracking dog. So we ended up settling on a basset hound puppy because I've never seen a woman that doesn't look at a basset hound puppy and freak out,
Yeah.
So, totally went and bought him from like the biggest puppy mill in the world. Some hippie dude in a house with like 9, like I swear to God, Casey, this dude's house is probably like 20 feet by 30 feet, maybe not even that big. And there was like 14 basset hounds in his fucking yard. And I was like, dude, what are we ourselves into? This dude had been to every Grateful Dead concert in the world. And nicest guy, man. But he's ate some mushrooms. But anyway,
that's hilarious.
We get this dog and get him home. We have him. He's a few months old. And I had I knew what was coming down the pipe, and I wanted to try it because I've always been interested in it. And anything I can do with the dog, man, I don't care what it is. But I'd save some deer hides and stuff like that, some scraps, and I was playing with him and showing him rabbit hides, showing him deer hides. He would just like bar none. He'd kind of like mess with a rabbit hide if you played with him. He'd put it in his mouth and stuff. And you showed that dog a deer hide. I swear to God, like you could pick him up like a pit bull on a fucking toy, and he would hang off of it. And man, I was saving blood at the time. I worked at the Kansas Turnpike, which is like a toll road. I was a equipment operator out there, and so I found there was roadkill deer everywhere. So I could get fresh liver, whatever. It got him started with fresh blood and stuff like that, and was doing a bunch of mock tracks and stuff. I think actually my wife's deer, because she shot it in that earlier season, because our archery season opens real early, mid-September, and so that was like one of his first like actual tracks, and like that deer was bleeding like a stuck hog. Ray Charles could have tracked that son of a bitch. Like there was blood 3 feet wide on the damn soybeans, and anyway. We had a good time. He got to chew on the deer. It was great. And then all my buddies are big whitetail guys. So when they would 12 ring a deer, I'd get to go put him on an 80 or 100, 200 yard, blood track for the first couple of years. And then we started leveling it up. This year we started taking it really serious. I was training preseason. I think our numbers, I'd have to look to be sure, but I think we found 16 and didn't find 3. And 2 of those 3, people either ended up seeing the deer again or like found it dead later, whatever. But yeah, we had a lot of fun this year. We tracked deer. The oldest one we did was 32 hours old from the time of shot.
Wow.
From the time the deer was shot. We took that track and he smoked it down, in less than legitimately like 5 minutes. He was chewing on the deer in 5 minutes.
Wow.
We found where the deer originally bedded, where coyotes had bumped him up, and where coyotes had ate the deer. And it really wasn't all that far apart. It was only like 400 yards, but it had been like kind of a snaky track from coyotes chasing the fucking deer around. And then we found a few that were 20 hours old, 24 hours old, 28 hours old. My particular favorite one that was absolutely the most challenging was it was only a 20-hour-old track, but we had an inch and a half of rain in between, which rain's a good thing, right? But this kid that shot the deer had 2 colorblind friends, and he decided to call them to help him look for blood.
How do you have 2 colorblind friends at the same time?
I don't know, but he did. This is a moral conundrum that is my fucking life, right? And I was like, wait, so you call colorblind guys to help you look for blood? Anyway, they had grid search for this deer. It wasn't a big deer or anything like that, but I think it was like his second archery buck. This kid was jumping up and down for like a 90-inch whitetail, which like I wouldn't look up from my fucking phone for, but it's his deer tag, not mine, So I was just tickled to death for him. But he fucking him and his buddies looked the night before, stomped the track out. It was already muddy, so I could see all their footprints of where they went. They did a good job of like flagging blood and stuff like that. Man, we made circle after circle after circle, and this is like a pretty thick, like kind of sparse cedars, like a big cedar tree, like every 10, 15 yards. It's kind of thick pasture, and it's really, really good whitetail hunt stuff like that is. And then it has a couple big, thick draws running down through it. We ended up getting like 250 yards from the initial shot, and I found my dog really keyed in hard on going over the corner of this pond dam. And then we went right up after, 2 hours of dicking around. We finally got out of those stomped out tracks from those guys walking all over everything and found some fresh track and the spot from where their last blood was to where we found that was probably 100 yards. He keyed on that. I seen him key on it really hard. And man, when he does, we're an on lead tracking state. So I can't have a dog off lead. We have to have a 20-foot lead. Our dog can never be off it. I have him on lead and a GPS collar. But anyway, dude, this dog, he puts his face in the ground. He starts huffing and like he starts digging. Like, dude, I'm pretty stout and I can't hold his little ass back. And I mean, he's a 60-pound dog, and there ain't an ounce of fat on him, man. He's the only in shape basset hound you'll ever see. But anyway, he puts his face to the ground and he just starts digging, man, and going. And like he's kicking up like dirt behind him. I'm like, oh man, yeah, we're on this deer. And 70 yards later, we had the deer, and it was found. That was probably my favorite one, just because it was probably the most difficult. We had another one that was really cool that was a frontal shot with a crossbow. There wasn't any blood at all. Those frontal shots, because I mean, if you shoot them high frontal, that arrow's going to stay in there and bounce around, do a ton of damage. But that deer's just going to fill up with blood. And generally on a frontal, there's no exit hole, right? Yep. I've seen a few exits on frontals, just from guiding, and I'm kind of the guy. Before I had a dog, I was still the guy everybody called to go track their deer. I love doing it. So I already knew I would like adding a dog in, But anyway, that one was a fun one because we had no idea. There was no helping the dog. It was 100% reading his body language and seeing what he liked. And just to preface this, not a lot of people know, but as far as blood tracking with the dog goes, you call it blood tracking, but what the dogs are actually tracking is not the blood. They're tracking what's called interdigital scent. There's a scent gland. I'm holding my hand up for the camera, but y'all can't see it. There's a scent gland right between their hooves. And they start putting down this scent with that interdigital gland when they're hurt. And like, that's really what like turns my dog on. And that's really what he's tracking, because it's kind of like a thumbprint, right? What's that?
Why do they do that when they're hurt?
It's just like what they do. It's kind of like, I've heard it explained like it's like stress sweat in your armpits, like it stinks way worse, when they're really stressed. That's what they do when they're in peril danger. or mortally wounded, I should say, is when they really put down that interdigital scent. And anyway, they excrete from that gland, and that's actually what the dog is tracking, not actually tracking blood.
So that's a different gland than the ones that are up higher by like the joint.
Yeah, totally different deal. Yeah,
totally different. Can you see them?
Yeah, you're talking about that's called a tarsal gland.
Yeah, the tarsal gland's very obvious, and you can see it, and it smells.
The one you don't want to touch with your knife while you're cleaning the deer. Yeah.
No, never. And at least if you want to eat your deer after you're done butchering.
That's right. Yeah.
So so they're releasing it from the hooves. So that's what the dog is keying in on. Like how? So then, all right. So finish telling your story, and then we'll ask. I got a couple more questions.
Oh no, man, that's it. Go ahead.
Okay, so you found that deer, I would imagine, on that.
One we ended up. That frontal shot. Yeah, we ended up scooping that deer up. It was kind of cool too. It was kind of in one of those thick, nasty cedar pastures, also. And that deer ended up from the place he shot it. It made like a 250-yard circle and ended up like 40 yards from where it was originally shot at. That was wow. I thought that was kind of cool. Circle back like a cottontail, man.
Wow, that is cool. Yeah, I took a frontal shot this year. I never take frontal shots ever. And
they're lethal, but man, there's a lot of area for
zero blood, like you said. Zero blood.
Yep.
Frontal shot. Yeah, I mean, I just buried the fletching into the frontal shot. It was a doe, smaller doe. Just for meat.
Shish kebab.
Yeah, I shish kebab that thing. And dude, it was 15 yards. But I must have walked. I walked all where it ran and stuff, and I'm looking, there's no blood. And then I start like looping around, and I could see, and then I started getting like crazy, where I started looking at like little branches and stuff and break. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, that broke. So you know what I mean? There's deer everywhere where I hunt. It's on my own property, so like there's deer everywhere. So it's not like I'm looking at tracks, dude. It was 10 yards from where I shot it. Not even. The whole chest cavity. Right when I opened her up to gut her, it was just like a waterfall coming out of her.
Uh-huh. Yeah, dude, it's so lethal, but like it's like even a shot without an exit wound, you're still not going to get a lot of blood. But man, that frontal, you're not going to get shit unless that deer falls over and tips over forward. I've seen that where there'll be it looks like a gallon of blood where the deer fell down a creek bank or something on a frontal.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's incredibly lethal.
Oh yeah, I mean it has to be the right shot. You have to have the right equipment, right broadhead. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not going to shoot a rage broadhead on a frontal shot. No, this was a I switched. Dude, I used to shoot rage nonstop, and I had I had like 2 or 3 back to back where like I couldn't find it, and like on the last blood trail, I said, you know what? I'm never shooting these broadheads again in my life. I'm talking 10 yards, breadbasket, can't find my deer. For hours and hours and hours with my brother helping me, other guy, I could not. I'm like, you know what? I'm never shooting this garbage again. Must have hit a rib and didn't open, and like I'm like, screw this crap, man. So I just switched to fixed blade, and that thing just buried. It's just there's less stuff that can go wrong with the fixed blade. I mean, their flight pattern's different, obviously. Flight pattern, you could, that's a con. But if you're shooting 25 yards, 30 yards, it does not matter.
Right. Well, I think expandables have their time and place, and it just ain't everybody's time and place. Like I shot this bear with a fixed blade. Everything else I've pretty well killed. I've killed turkeys with a fixed blade and one deer with a fixed blade, but everything else I've shot with expandables, and they have their time and place, but it ain't all the time, And that's where, they do, but it is what it is. I would never take a front with expandable though.
No, me neither. No. And that's what it was. It was facing me, and it winded me, and it was kind of. I told the story like a couple episodes ago, and I'm like, I got these badass broadhead blades. So I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna slide it right in between that shoulder, dude, and it just buried in there, dude. The full length of the shaft, like just the fletchings were like crunched, and I said, oh, wow. But then there was no blood. But 10 yards away, 15 yards away is dead. So how are you training the dog? Like, are you like, is there like, can you go on like mossy oak or like one of those and get like that gland? You know what I mean? Like, how does that work?
There actually is, you should like, even if you're not like into blood tracking or anything, like if you like dogs and like working dogs, you should go follow long spur tracking. They have a YouTube channel and shit. They make a scent that is that interdigital single. I'm going to order some. I say like, and you can save your hooves and extract that gland and like put it on a stick or whatever. Put it back on the hoof and tie your hoof to the. Like people have these, they're like tracking shoes. Are these aluminum like cleats? Is what they look like.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
And you can put your deer hooves on the bottom of those after you spread your scent gland on them. I've seen YouTube videos of guys doing that. I haven't done it, but anyway,
I think I've seen other videos of like furries wearing those things and like
yeah, dude, they do. They do. The furry suits are hot.
Kids at my school.
I give props to those people. If they can be in those suits all day, dude, they're tough as fuck.
Oh yeah, and whatever else they do. Yeah, whatever. All right. Anyway,
but anyway,
they're watching too much Disney, bro. Too much Disney.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, I was watching Bambi the other day with my son, and I was watching Thumper get flirting with that other rabbit, and I was like, dude, like
Thumper's getting kind of sexy.
No, I was like, why does that rabbit look so good right now, dude? Like, what's with the eyelash, bro? Like, what are we doing here?
Dude.
Why you put those eyelashes on that rabbit, bro?
Casey getting horned up watching Bambi.
Dude, look, go watch Bambi and watch that female rabbit when Thumper is like flirting with her, bro. Like, it's so weird. I'm like, why?
Just wait till you watch Roger Rabbit and you see Jessica Rabbit.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
Aaron even knows her by name. I don't even know that rabbit's name. Bambi. Aaron.
Damn, Aaron.
No, dude.
What's your name, man?
Jessica Rabbit. Come on.
I'm not familiar with Jessica Rabbit, bro.
Well, if the rabbit and Bambi was getting you horned up, then this will.
I didn't say it was. I was confused why it was so like erotic. Like, why does the rabbit look so good? that little tail, bro. Like, what are we doing here, bro?
Oh, this is.
I'm just
this
kidding.
Is 100%.
Cut all this out.
No way. This is
we gotta cut this out.
But those furries, those poor kids, man, they must have watched too much Disney, and like they're all messed up now. Dude. They think rabbits are
seed oils, bro.
Yeah, the seed oil.
RFK is gonna save us. There you go, Casey.
He's gonna pop up. There he is.
What are you showing us right now?
This is Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, but that's like a human. That's like a rabbit.
No, she's a rabbit.
She don't look like no rabbit, bro. They don't like rabbit I've ever seen. I killed a bunch of rabbits. They don't look like any rabbit I
killed.
Yeah. Aaron's currently showing his pictures of Jessica Rabbit, which is not a rabbit at all.
Anyways.
Moving on from Disney, which is a perversion, disgraced, anti-hunting organization, to gathering the scent from the gland at the foot.
About
clumping around wearing your deer hoof shoes.
So we got Jake out there with his mustache, and he's out there wearing those hoofs, those little high heels, little hooves, and he's
I didn't say high heels.
Dude, he's wearing high heel hooves, just tromping around the woods with his dog paw on him. So you put the scent on the hooves, and then what? You just kind of walk around, or
then you would walk and make turns, maybe go up a fence line, hop it a couple times, whatever, and make your dog work that track. You'd also let the scent settle. And granted, like, I don't know how good and how perfect the glands off of deer hide, or out of the deer hooves that have been in the freezer work, or the track and scent. There's no substitute for the real thing, obviously, but it's definitely a step in the right direction, and your dog's really having to track something, right? And so yeah, it's definitely something we're going to be messing with a lot this season. I'm going to order some of that stuff from Longspur and be working him a lot. Yeah, hopefully they still have some. They worked with. I listened to a podcast about it. They worked with a guy who makes trapping lures, like trapping lure, right? Like scents and shit like that for trapping. And that's how they're making it. Whatever, extracting those glands and putting into like water or oil. I don't really know, but pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That is extremely cool. I would imagine it's some sort of a lipid based thing where you could extract it with oil and kind of like get the right pH levels. Got to render it down and then squirt that thing on those high heels and just take off into the woods.
That's right. Well, and what I like about stuff like that is it's more of a controlled scenario, right? So like, if I want to know what my dog's doing, right? If I want to know what his body language is going to look like, when he is on the right track and then he encounters the wrong one, right? Because like a lot of these places I'm going to trail deer in, I'm not trailing the only deer that's there.
Right.
And that's something I can train for because I have a ton of deer at my house. I have a shitload of does at my house. There was like 20 of them in my hayfield earlier. And I can go and lay a track, and I know that those does are going to cross that track, and I give it 4 hours. I know they're going to cross that track, and I run it 4 hours after that. So my track's 8 hours old. The deer that have crossed it are probably between 4 and up to that, a very fresh one. Then I might bump walking down to it, and I can go and run my dog on that track, and then I can see when he crosses that game trail where if I'm watching where the deer cross and shit like that, what he's going to do on when those other deer are crossing the track, and maybe an off game like turkeys or coyotes or whatever, and then you can really see the difference of what your dog's doing.
Yeah. So you almost like don't want it because when we're doing the dachshunds, we're like dragging the rabbit carcass and the hide, and then we're just immediately cutting the dogs loose to find it. You almost want to like release the scent and then wait like as long as you can, and then cut the dog loose on it.
Right. So with this dog in particular, like if I was to let one of my if I let him go, I have no doubt that he would track it and do really well. Hold on. Mando. Sorry, I had to yell at my dog.
No problem. I'm just picturing Jake like looking like Mr. Tumnus from freaking Narnia, running around with those hooves on.
Hey, it is what it is, man. It's all for the dogs, baby.
Dude, we'll do anything for our dogs, bro.
I'll do anything, man. I'll put on high heels and put deer trap. I don't care.
Dude, whatever.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But anyway, my dog actually, I've seen him work better on 18 plus hour old tracks than he does on 8 hour old tracks. So, and that's something else too, is like when you see those guys running those dry ground lions and stuff out west, granted, they don't really know how old the track is usually, but when those guys are in the snow and they know it snowed that morning and they're going to run their dogs when the sun comes up, that track's 8 or 9 hours old sometimes. I think that a lot of that spoor, you got to give it time to settle. And that's really what this super cold nosed dog, which is like what a bloodhound or a basset hound is, more so than like a hot dog, really hot nosed dog like my bird dog is. They're going to take that trail different and work it differently, right? And I've really seen him do much better on tracks that are 18 hours old and tracks that aren't trampled by your buddies. So that helps too,
I mean, that's fascinating. Like the hot nose and the cold nose thing is like, it's insane. Like, right, Aaron, we experienced a cold nose scent tracking in West Virginia. I mean, that bear, I think must have crossed that road like the night before. And then they didn't get it jumped for like 3 hours. Like they just followed it, like through its feeding pattern, through everything it was doing throughout the late or early morning, and then eventually they jumped it, and like they could tell from the GPS that they jumped it because all the dogs lined out into a straight line, and they're just hauling through the mountains. But we couldn't hear anything, we couldn't see anything. We're just watching on the GPS. So like how could you harness that cold nose and like put it into like a GSP to like enhance, like, or would you even want to do that?
I would never want to, man. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Like personally for me, I don't have anything against the versatile breeds or whatever, but I think having dogs that are a scalpel, right? They're a very finite tool in which you're using them for the right thing. I like that more so than the Drothars. One, I think the way they run is atrocious. Their gait's horrible. They look like a fucking ape. I don't like those dogs. Like they're cool. They can do a lot of stuff, but that's not what I want out of a dog. If I want to, that's just my thing, right?
Right.
That's my. I like more the scalpel type thing. Like I have this blood tracking dog over here, and if I want to go get ducks with my short hairs, they do that very well. And then I go bird hunting or whatever. But as far as that goes, man, I'm more like the scalpel type thing, and it gives me an opportunity to give that dog a job too, because like. There's quite a few of these deer that I have no doubt that I could go find with my short hairs, but I would never want to like say that like, hey, I want to put a cold nosed dog try to breed for a cold nose and a short hair when there's so many like better suited dogs for it, right?
Yeah, right.
especially when I'm already feeding one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a stupid thing it was kind of stupid that I said that. But because you don't want like
very stupid.
Yeah, Courtney, edit that out. Yeah, because you don't want like, why would you want a GSP or even a dachshund to have like a super cold nose scent? Because then every little tiny thing you're going to key in on it, and you're following them through the field for like 3 hours with your bird on the fist, and there's like a rabbit from like 3 days ago.
My short hair's pointing where a rabbit pissed a week ago.
No, that's stupid. You want kind of like a hotter nose to make it more realistic for what you're trying to do. That makes perfect sense. But that's cool that you get to do both.
Yeah. And I have a lot of fun with it too, man. And I grew up with coonhounds, with sighthounds, running coyotes, all that stuff. So like, dude, there's so many like avenues of like dog stuff. If I had more money, I'd fucking have them all, but I don't. So I would have a bin full of, 100 fucking dogs. So
yeah, and the hours, just the hours in the day. It's the hours in the day. Like, dude. How are you going to run coyotes with sighthounds, maintain that whole pack, then like catch quail with your GSPs, and then track deer with your blood? It's just there's only so much you can do. It's really
and I'm already doing enough, man. That's my thing. I have so many freaking irons in the fire between the big game stuff, all the shit that I do, all the goofy shit I get myself into.
Yeah. Are you able to charge? You making a little extra money off of the tracking thing?
Yeah, and man, I mean, making money is kind of a wild statement because dogs cost so much. But yeah, I was getting a little gas money back. But and like in terms of like time and stuff like that, I mean, it's not like it reimburses. Somebody throws you $100 bill because gives you $50 for gas and tips you $100. That's great. I buy some dog food.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, and you're it's not like. Like in my house, like that'd be fine because at least I'm like not losing money every time I go out the door to go do what I enjoy doing. Cool.
That's my wife's favorite thing to remind me of. It's only her dog that makes money.
Yeah,
kind of right.
Yeah, right.
I'm not taking my bird dogs to guide because I don't really want them to get shot. So yeah,
right. Yeah, that's a huge risk. So
man.
Have you anybody out there that's had that? I'm sure you have. Had that happen.
I've never had it happen. I've had a close call, and it wasn't even guiding. It was just there was a kid in a field. I didn't know him, didn't know his dad, whatever. They just kind of showed up in a group I was hunting with, and after that, I've never hunted with a group of guys since. Like like you see those. I don't know, maybe you don't see them, but like fucking the big groups of people walking fields for pheasant, like in South Dakota, there'll be like 20 dudes in a line. Yeah. I used to go out with a group opening weekend, and like back-to-back years, I got peppered really good, getting shot. And
wow, good.
I didn't dig any out of my skin, but they penetrated a Carhartt jacket. So pretty good.
What the heck? That's crazy.
Like I knew it was going to happen. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen, but like the pheasant crossed dead in front of me. I was like, oh, I need to get down. And I just turned and like covered my face. And ever since then, I've never hunted with more than one or two guys.
Jeez.
They're people I know, and like my bird hunting circle got way, way tight after that. And that's the other thing too, is like most people don't give a shit about your dog. They just want to shoot their shotgun that they get out of the closet once a year. So I made a deal with myself that I don't hunt with anybody that doesn't appreciate dogs. So that won't ever change. And then I have a buddy that guides at what I call a boot and shoot, where they go kick the pheasants and they fly and then they shoot them like 10 yards. The tame birds, pin raised birds, whatever you want to call it. He's had dogs shot before, never had one killed, but had them like dug pellets. I'm like, dude, why do you keep doing it? I don't know. I like my dogs too much, man.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's something that's something that us like falconers, we don't really like think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, and like the worst thing you're going to do is have my goshawk latch onto him, and thankfully, my dogs don't take it too personal.
Yeah. That's like the worst.
It is a pain in the ass, and that's the other thing why I don't like. I mean, it worried me. It screwed me out of a really good jackrabbit slip. I was hunting with Slade, and I was worried about because he had his Yag, that mouse dog he has. Mm-hmm. He had her name's Mouse. She doesn't hunt mice, but for those that don't know Tyler, but anyway, she was like right next to me. My bird baited, and like I knew Mouse was right next to me because we were just all kind of together walking back to the truck after I'd caught my scale quail. not like a 100-yard walk back to the truck. So I didn't have flying again on my mind. I hadn't fed my bird up yet. But anyway, I was so worried in the back of my mind that my bird was just like a freaking 2 foot, that little ass dog. And like, granted, they've dealt with his goshawk, so she would have been fine. But like, I didn't want it to happen, And I had a jack get up like right at my feet, and I was like a jackass. I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to Tyler, and now my Jess is on the jack slip. So I still haven't caught a jack in falconry. He did grab it, but got raked off of it. So it was cool. It was cool.
Do you have any jacks where you live in Kansas?
No, man. I did like. We see jacks in my area, but like when you see one, you tell people about it. Like it's a big deal to see them here.
Why are they so rare there?
Because
that's native range for them. Why are they so rare?
It absolutely is. So I think a lot of it has to do. So where I live is the Flint Hills. The Flint Hills are the largest intact tall grass prairie left in the world, right? And a lot of what happens here is it's a lot to do with the grazing and the range management. This is just my opinion. It's the same thing with prairie chickens too. So what happens in the Flint Hills is like all these big ranches here are empty. They're devoid of cattle right now. What they have is like a lot of them are corporate ranches, right? So these are big ranches that own a feedlot somewhere, and they take their calves out of the feedlot when they buy them. They send them out here for 90 or 120 days and graze them, and then they go back to the feedlot and get finished, and then they go to a slaughter for however long they finish them on grain, right? So what happens is they burn off. We do prescribed burns in the Flint Hills, which is good for woody encroachment, which is like cedars or Bradford pears, whatever kind of trees are going to grow up in those pastures. They get burnt every single year, every single spring in February and March. You can go out on a calm night on top of a hill here and see like 12 prescribed burns on a calm night, when everybody's really burning their pastures. So in my mind, like anybody would think, where's your brooding cover for your prairie birds, your upland game, and your jackrabbits? What do they have to survive in until that grass grows back? And I'm not talking like, when I say a ranch, I'm talking 5,000+ acres at a time is getting burned off, not 80 acres or 100 acres.
Wow.
These are massive tracts of land. And these are the open expanses where jackrabbits and chickens live, get burned off every single year, right? So it's a pretty tough issue. But the reason they do it, I forgot to include that. The reason they do that is when they dump those yearlings out, they're apt to gain weight at a higher capacity quicker, right? On green, fresh grass and forbs when they come up, as opposed to the old dead grass, right? So that's why they do it, is burning off to fatten cattle. The thing is, it works for that. It works really well, and I'm all for ranching and stuff. But and I'll tell you, even like where I seen those jackrabbits at, you could have a gun to my head, and I wouldn't tell you where it is because I want to go back and fly them, and I got permission to. But I went out to actually blood track a kid's deer on one of those kind of corporate ranches. I'm really good family friends with the ranch manager, and his grandson shot a deer, and that was the one we didn't find. And anyway, I seen 3 different jacks on the way in and 4 different ones on the way out. Granted, like a couple of them may have been the same, but like they were individual jacks on the drive in, right? And individual jacks on the drive out. And that particular place, they do really good, like just range management where they burn in a rotational burn, right? They burn every third year. So they have like a resident biologist. The guy who owns it has just a metric fuck ton of money. And has a resident biologist, has ranches in like 4 states. So they do a really good job. And we seen chickens when we were out there too. So no coincidence there. It doesn't seem like to me.
That's interesting.
Like they do a lot better in the desert these days.
The jacks? Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they can live on nothing, man. But I think that when there's literally nothing and it's scorched earth, literally, it's tough on them, man. And it makes sense. And like out west, I have a friend that's a biologist in Southwest Kansas, and he says a lot of the no-till agriculture hurts a lot of the jacks. And I don't know if that's because of the amount of chemical that gets put on, because there's a lot of chemical that gets put on our no-till crops, especially out there. But he said those are all just my opinions, right? And that guy's opinions, who's a biologist of 40 years. So I don't know.
Interesting stuff.
Salt. But the place where they do rotational birding is where I see jackrabbits. I can tell you that.
Interesting. Yeah. Maybe RFK will get rid of those chemicals and we'll have more jacks.
Dude, let's fucking go. Fuck that glyphosate. Let's go, RFK.
Yeah. Jake, what's next for you? So you got a freaking badass made goshawk. His name is the Machine, and he's literally a machine.
The Machine.
You got anything else like you want to add something into that? You kind of toying with any ideas, or what's next for you?
No, man. I think we're kind of starting to wrap it up. We have a reverse migration duck season coming up the last week of February, first 2 weeks of March, give or take. I haven't looked at the dates, but that's about when it is. I think it's over March 10th this year. I've talked to a buddy that has a quail lease in Texas. I may run down there, but I plan on wrapping it up about that March 10th time frame. Whenever our duck season's over, I plan on wrapping it up. And that is one thing, I have got to do this year. I was a little scared last year. Not scared this year, getting into the waterfowl hawking, and I've had just a blast doing that, and had a lot of success really quick on the ducks, man. I had a lot of fun, man, because a lot of these quail flights and stuff I don't, outside of when he just stuffs them on their eyes, which happens, but it doesn't happen that often. I'm just going to kind of like I get to see the tail chase, and he ends up generally catching the quail out of sight, right? So I go up and I just find my bird with my GPS. I'm like, hey, awesome, we caught a quail. This is great. High level falconry. There's, pretty hard to knock. It's hard to beat. But at the same time, I like seeing my bird catch stuff. I like seeing rabbit flights. I like seeing duck flights. I had a lot of fun with the duck flights I've had so far. So I think that's what's coming up for me, man. Maybe running down to Texas if that works out. It was just kind of a preliminary conversation with a buddy. So we'll see. But other than that, man, I want to finish out my season on waterfowl, and I've beat my bird dogs to death all gun season and stuff like that. They don't need a break, but they probably deserve one. So I'd like to get my puppy out without doing some falconry over him and stuff like that. But other than that, man, I'm just gonna keep at it, man. Next year I would like to dip my toe in long winging a little bit. I've had that conversation a whole bunch. Reading a couple books right now on it. I think that I live in a really good spot for it. So I think I'm doing a disservice. I feel like really not flying a peregrine or a prairie or just anything. And I do want my first bird to be a passage bird. I'm that far along in it, so I don't want to pay for one that if I'm just going to fuck it up. I want one I can let go. So yeah. And granted, like you're always going to have gas and time in it, but still.
What's the trapping like out there for peregrines? Can you get them?
I don't know.
I've
never got to do it. Never got to be any part of it. The guys I know that catch birds here, they catch prairies. So I have a couple buddies in Texas. I was gonna maybe do some arm twisting, remind them that that old greasy dude long winger meat that they came up and flew my duck ponds, and just remind them, give them a little bump and a nudge and a wink, and say, I know that you catch beach birds every year, and I think it's your turn to take me. So I might have to do some arm twisting this year. This summer. I would like. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And my own silly little mind, the way it's working is, I want to do my first half of next season. I'd like to get my bird put up early and get him out early, and get a hawk chickens really early, because our chickens, our upland season opens September 1st.
Wow.
And that's kind of been my big cross to bear, is I haven't had a lot of luck on pheasants. It's just because my bird will tank any baggy pheasant he sees, but when a wild one gets up, I don't know what it is, man. He doesn't want them. He's just and I know why. I entered him on birds he wasn't ready for without bagging him on enough pheasants, and he got his teeth kicked in him by him too soon, and I'm sure that's still in the back of his mind somewhere. Like, I've had the prettiest points I've walked in on. I have it on video. Pheasant rises 5 feet away from me, and he pedals out 40 yards and lands on the ground or in a tree. And nothing makes you want to rip their head off more than that, But yeah, no. So that's where my falconry aspirations are, man.
It's good, man. That's awesome. Yeah, there's a bunch of permit draw in the East Coast that you could put in for. If you put in, well, people are going to get mad at me, but if you put in for Jersey, we could get you. We could probably get you a bird.
Dude, I'm not prejudiced, man. I'll take one from anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same bird anyway. But if you went to Texas, right. I mean, those guys have it down to a science.
Yeah, it seems like they do, man. And one of the local falconers here, he's primarily a long winger, but he's just hawking squirrels with a red tail this year and having a blast. He's had a lot of good luck on Padre or wherever.
Yeah,
allegedly. And
right.
Stuff. So he
and stuff, you know.
You bet. He has had a lot of luck, and he wasn't with anybody. He just went down there and went trapping once he got his permit. So, I think it could be done. So I don't know. And I've also thought too, like that Heath Garner guy in Arkansas on that fat dog, ugly bird, or whatever the fuck that guy's podcast is. The other the English sounding guy.
Yep.
I really like that podcast, by the way. I'm not trying to denigrate any fashion, but he's trapping them on the alluvial fan there in Arkansas on the Mississippi Delta, and he was talking about shorebirds. And I asked him on the trapping peregrine side of things, I was like, so we have a couple big wetlands here that get a shitload of shorebirds, and it stands to reason. Why wouldn't there, like, there's peregrines that come through. I've talked to the biologists. They have peregrines come through there. Why couldn't I try to do the same thing? Even if it's for a weekend or two, it's an hour from my house. I could run up there if I get permitted and try to maybe trap a peregrine, you know. I think it'd be a cool way to do it. Granted, there's a lot more productive ways to do it, but there's peregrines that go through there, and they're documented going through there. Like, if there's that many shorebirds and that's what's working for those guys, I don't know why it couldn't work for me. Maybe I'm just, I don't know. I get a lot of really stupid fucking ideas, and that's probably one of them. So well, I don't want to say I'm going to do it or anything, but I'd damn sure try if I got a peregrine permit. Yeah.
I bet you just talking about that on the podcast, you might get some people that reach out to you, some insight to that.
Maybe so.
Yeah, it might be interesting.
And I'll take advice from anyone, because the only thing I've ever trapped was a red tail. You know, my falconer's only been one red tail and 1.5 goshawks, right? So I never even got to fly my first goshawk. So hard to count him, but yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I mean, where you live, I mean, like you said, yeah, man, I got long wings in your future.
Yeah, it is. I definitely think it is. And I think that the way that I'd never do it. I'd never want to fly a long wing unless I just had a shitload of time on my hands the year that I start a goshawk, obviously, because you have to fly them so much. But dude, my bird picks up and puts down so good. Like, we had that flight today, which was just a freaking barn burner, awesome aerial rabbit flight after 2 days of not flying because of just high wind days and bad weather. So he picks up and puts down good. The other day when he shotgunned in and raked feathers off that quail on the rise, when I caught those 2 quail. I don't know if I sent you the picture. You've seen it on my Instagram.
I saw it on your. I saw it.
Yeah, I doubled and he raked fur off a rabbit too, man. It was a wild ass day, and it came out of nowhere. I've hunted that place for 4 years and never found quail there. It's just like a quick little rabbit spot, and I found 2 coveys there. It was a weird deal, but anyway, yeah, that was after 2 days of rest also. So he picks up and puts down well. So I think I could alternate with a long wing really well, is the point I'm making.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to tell you that I double on quail. I like to throw that out there. That's my elitism coming out off the fist, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Heck yeah. No, I saw that. That was impressive. Yeah, I saw that. And I love how you were holding them in your hand. Just
dude, that's my favorite way for the picture, man.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
My kind of like signature picture when I'm gun hunting is I have my side by side broke over, and I have a wide angle picture with the dog in it and the birds in my hand. So I started doing that. I'm like, why don't I do that with my damn hawk?
Yeah, I love it.
I did it. Well, the light bulb came on last year. He might have been missing a tail feather he broke. And I was like, I'm going to hide that. I'm going to hold them birds right over his fucking tail.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to get the angles.
Now I'm giving away my secrets. Now that's a trade secret right there.
Yeah, trade secret. Hide those tail feathers.
Got it. That's right. And, you know, I was actually running my mouth to Harrison about my bird being feather perfect the other day, and we broke one. So I was feather perfect until freaking last week, man. I wanted to crawl in a hole and die.
It's all right. At least you only broke one, and not every single tail feather is tipped.
Oh, my God. Dude, last year,
I mean, I'm making a joke about Harrison, but my that white bird that I'm flying, she's a butcher on her tail, butcher.
Oh goodness,
tail guards on 24. Just absolute butcher. I have the tail guard on that white bird 24/7, and almost every feather except for like 3 or 4 are tipped. None of them are broken; they're just tipped. And then the North American, just lives in the box, in the mute, no tail guard, and she's feather perfect. It's just so weird, you know. And I hacked one, and I didn't really hack the other one. So I think that's what. Yeah, so I think that has something to do with it.
You know, and that's one thing I was going to say when we were talking about hacking earlier is like ease on the feathers. But I also know people that hacked a bird last year, same year as I did, that didn't have that luck,
right?
And they were still hard on their tail. So I don't know. I think the hack is a good thing. It's a net positive overall. And if it does, like, dude, even if there's a 50% chance it makes them easy on their tail, it's fucking worth it.
It's so worth it.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like me, like, yeah, I kind of have a falconer close to me that came and can come help me imp stuff. But dude, like, I learned so much last year about like between imping feathers and just all the things you come across, you know, flying a goshawk. Because I ended up giving my bird a whole new tail last year. So he didn't end the season with a single feather that wasn't imped.
That's
Most
annoying.
people probably wouldn't admit that, but I don't care.
No, I mean, yeah, just I'm the same way, dude. Like, yeah, my bird's tail is an absolute disaster. So it is what it is. Like, it's just some birds are different.
At least you guys have birds.
Yeah, shut up, Aaron. I knew that was coming.
The shame. The other thing I didn't understand, like I said, not seeing goshawks fly was like how loud imprints are. Because, you know, just knowing Tyler and seeing his videos and shit, buddy, there's a reason there's music on them videos, you know? Like I said, the only goshawk I'd ever seen beforehand, before me owning one, was my buddy Daryl's in Florida. And he
Perkins?
It was like no, his last name is Moom.
Okay.
And he's a goshawk legend, dude. He's like 70. I don't want to say how old he is. He's north of 70, and he's flying 2 goshawks right now. Like, he's a fucking legend. And the other day I was talking to him. I didn't ask if I could tell the story, but I'm going to anyway. He won't care. His bird caught a rabbit, and where he caught it at was by a canal. Florida, you know, there's gators. He's like, I'm gonna walk back to the truck. He went and got his grabbing stick and got the bird out of the water with his grabbing stick because you know, like, he's never had a bird killed by gators. But man, that's a real possibility if you're gonna take a cottontail to the water that your bird could get just yapped by a freaking gator, man.
Yeah,
that's
or you.
Yeah, and that's what I would worry about more is me. But I have to go
look
back.
out for number one.
That's
right?
not what I. The worst thing I got in Kansas is a rattlesnake or a fast moving Chevy if I step backwards on the road or something, you know? So,
or a kid or a kid with a shotgun on his first pheasant hunt.
You ain't shitting. Yeah, those will get you. Ask me how I know. I did get charged by a cow this year when I was flying. That was something. Yeah, it happens. I grew up on a ranch and stuff. It's nothing I'm not used to. And I mean, it didn't. You would think that I would know better than to go dicking around my dad's cows. Well, he has some goofy ass cows, but yeah. She threw her head at me. I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, she means business." Huh? And then she like kind of bluff charged me. I'm like, "Yeah, that's enough. I got a bird on my fist. I'm not trying to climb a tree today."
Wow. So a cow. I mean, I guess they have the capability to really kill you if they want to, right?
Oh yeah, they do.
At least it's not
cows than sharks.
At least it's not a freaking black bear in a brush pile.
Yeah, it's not that, man.
I want to afraid of it. Bro, I mean, a cow. I mean, at least I could try to at least think I could juke a cow.
Yeah, and it's property. You can shoot one of those any time of year if you want to replace it. You
know. Yeah. I shoot a bear that's trying to kill me or my dogs. It's like a full-on murder investigation.
Yeah. We could have staged the scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I would definitely do something to stage it. But yeah. I'd drip blood on me and like stab myself or something.
Right. Punch yourself a couple times, whatever.
Yeah, take the claw, like the dead bear's claw, and like stab myself in the face with it or something. He grabbed me by my face. What do you want to do?
Telling you're a furry and you identified as a rabbit. You thought it was coming to eat you.
They just show up and I'm like in a bear costume with like little paws on my hands like, and I'm on all fours.
No, you're the dude off Super Troopers in the bear costume. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's such a good movie. Yeah. That's such a good movie. Oh man, that's so funny. Great stuff, Jake, man. I think we covered a lot. I think we covered a bunch, man. This is a great episode, dude. So we appreciate your time, man. Is there anything you want to say? Where can people find you, follow you? You know, get it.
Man, follow me on the Instagrams. I need to come up with super cool falconry centric Instagram handle, but it's just Jake Thomas 00. Couldn't think of anything better. So that's where I'm at. So follow me on there if you want to listen to my goshawk scream.
Yeah. No, yeah, your page is great, man. Your stuff is great. You're doing a lot of good stuff. And your bird is awesome. So thank you for clarifying all that, because that's like the one thing for me, just for me personally and selfishly, that's like the one bird that I've never really had any experience with. This is like a pure albitus goshawk, like what they're about. It sounds like it's everything you want.
It's everything I want, man. For where I'm at, I think they're great. I will say, maybe a North American would crash brush a little better, maybe. But if I wanted to crash brush, red tails are free. That's my philosophy. I want to hawk off the fist, and I want to hawk feather over dogs and hawk ducks. That's really what I like. That's what I got a goshawk for. That was a whole premonition for me. So another thing too is like, I know we want to end this, but it seems like my bird, he just like, everybody talks about those white birds needing that open country, and they really get their wheels spinning after a while. My bird finds like 3 new gears after 200 yards. And I think that's just part of those Russian genetics of flying shit down over the tundra up there, So,
yeah.
But yeah, we can wrap this up, boys.
No, that was great, man.